Hey, it's George from Triangulated back with another Listen to the Markets. This week, you may notice I've got a new picture on the thumbnail for the video. I saw some people using AI to make thumbnails, and I was also told that my thumbnails were pretty boring, so I decided to follow suit. So we'll get some better thumbnails going forward. Maybe at some point I'll have better graphics too. Anyway, this week, the main thing that I'm looking at is oil, which, as you can see from this chart, is back at new highs as the situation in Iran continues to be a problem, essentially. So oil prices keep going up, and we'll see when that changes. But as it relates to the stock market, it doesn't seem to care. A few weeks back, the stock market pretty much decoupled from the Iran news cycle and from what oil prices were doing. So, as evidenced by stocks, the situation in Iran, whatever it's going to become, isn't going to end the world necessarily. And when you look at gold and silver, here's gold and here's silver. They're both selling off and they're getting close to the lowest prices in a few months. So, that too, in my mind, points at we're really not at risk of just a global catastrophe. So oil is going to continue to be impacted by whatever comes out of the Strait of Hormuz, but stocks, gold, and silver, those three combined seem to be telling us that whatever happens over there isn't going to be a big deal for the rest of the world. Of course, gas prices are going to be annoying for the foreseeable future. So yeah. Other than that, earnings season started. Next week is really the big week where the majority of earnings are going to happen. So I think that markets are waiting to see what comes from that in terms of how companies do. Usually earnings season goes pretty well. I don't see why this one would be much different. Maybe if expectations were too high. But the other thing is incoming Fed Chairman Kevin Warsh is going to be coming in May. So that could usher in some kind of change. I did see some comment posted where Trump apparently said that he was open to the idea of higher interest rates, which is pretty bizarre to me because he was very public in fighting Jerome Powell and wanting Powell, who's the outgoing Fed chairman, to cut rates. But who knows? Things always change in the bizarro world. So we'll see what happens with that. Outside of all of that, I've got a little document here, and it basically there are four indicators that I really try to look at consistently. One of them is the trend, and as evidenced by new all-time highs, despite the recent pullback, the trend, pretty much all trends in stocks are now up. So that's positive for owning stocks. Volatility in stocks is actually elevated, and generally speaking, when that goes up, in my personal opinion, it's worse as opposed to better because volatility tends to cluster and can go both ways. So that indicator gives a little bit of a warning, but the trend is up and it's another Trump v bottom. So I think it needs to be interpreted with a bit of a grain of salt. As far as interest rates go, if interest rates are very high, money's going to go to interest rates. If they're very low, money's going to go anywhere else. So I like to keep an eye on rates. Long-term rates are around 5%. And some part of me thinks that given the recent volatility in markets and the PE ratio and such on the stock market, long-term rates around 5% might be appealing to people. But then again, the buy and hold guys just keep getting rewarded. We're back to all-time highs, so I don't see them abandoning that in favor of 5% rates at the moment. Maybe that'll change. Finally, one of the things I like to watch is what the Fed is doing because they control interest rates. And as I said a minute ago, the level of interest rates does matter in terms of where money flows. But really nothing's going to be doing until Kevin Warsh comes in next month, and so I think we just need to wait and see what happens there. So I don't think there's much to be gained from watching the Fed at the moment. Anyway, that's the summary for this week. Hopefully, in the not too distant future, we'll get away from just focusing on Trump in Iran and whatnot. But that's the way it is for now. So I'll see you next week, and thank you for listening.